Caffeine and Geek podcast. I am one kick man, joined by Chewy. Chewy, how
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's a lot of moving parts right now. I'm about to go back to work, so
you doing? Oh, dang. Okay.
just trying to get things ready. The rubber's about to meet the road.
Right.
So
When do you go back?
we'll see how this goes. First day's tomorrow.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, good luck.
It's crazy, man. It went by hella fast.
Hell, I know, dude. It's nuts. I mean, these first 2 weeks with her, well, it's been, well, for those who don't know, obviously I am a new father. So, but the first 2.5 weeks or so have gone by really quickly also. So it's pretty gnarly. But how are you doing? How's the spirit? How's the morale?
It's good, man.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel our oldest son is starting to he's starting to catch up some stuff. Like he's trying to catch more stuff. He said, "Oh shit," the other day.
No
So it was
way.
funny.
He heard you.
Yeah,
And
he heard me say it, and he just like, "Oh snap!" But you learn, you live, and you learn. He had his first
Yeah.
soccer practice yesterday,
Oh, that's
so that was
cool.
exciting.
That's
Yeah, so,
fun.
he had his little uniform, and
That's
he was out
awesome.
there doing his thing. It's interesting though. As a parent, uh, you just experience yourself, in a different way because
Mm-hmm.
you want your child to do things the right way, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to soccer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it really takes a lot of discipline to just like hold back and just let them just try to figure it out on their own. Like whether
Right.
it's right or whether it's wrong is just like a matter of just letting them kind of just figure it out.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Yeah, that's tight, man. That's gonna be exciting. That's gonna be fun, dude. Going to watch him play, see if he turns into a little soccer stud. That'll be cool.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see. We'll see if he likes it. I hope that he
right,
does. And
right.
then I also working on a podcast like on my own. So I've been,
Okay,
got the work art out. Got the art up. I gotta get a time to just record. So that's kind of what I've
okay.
been up to over here.
That's
You
good.
know.
Got some other, personal ventures that you're working on.
Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm doing
How are the
well.
first couple of weeks as a
Yeah,
new
first
dad?
couple of weeks. I'll tell you this, they've been pretty gnarly. And I have a newfound, I mean, always had respect, always had admiration and appreciation, but it's been certainly taken to another degree, um, you know, uh, because of what I've experienced. But my admiration for parents, mothers in particular, but I mean, it's a ride, dude. I'm not gonna lie. The special, or at least these first few weeks, but there are moments where it's challenging, but it never feels like it always feels worth it, like it's anyone who knows me knows like I'm a big diva when it comes to sleeping. So
Mm-hmm.
like me getting, if I don't get like, obviously I aim for 8, but if I don't get at least 7, like, yeah, I'm not
It's a
I'm not
wrap.
okay.
You.
Yeah, right. But but um but you're just not gonna get like 8 full hours, 8 straight hours of sleep, like with the baby, the first few weeks and months. But so you get like 4, maybe 3 or 4 straight, and then it's all sporadic, it's all over. But
Would you feel like an eternity?
yeah, exactly. You're like 3 hours, yes. Um, but I feel good. Like I f- I realize like if I can do it, if me, a big diva when it comes to sleep, I think most people can do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
uh, it is challenging, but it is worth it, and uh, it's very different, dude. Like you feel like obviously there is a little piece of you now out in the world, and so anything looks like a threat. It's like, but I don't want to be like the helicopter dad. Like, oh, and don't go here, don't do this. Like, obviously they have to also kind of forge and form themselves, but like you start thinking like, oh my god, if they turn this way and then they block their air paths, like are they going to be able to breathe and things like that, right? Like all
Mm-hmm.
these little things. um but it's yeah, it's quite the emotion, dude. Like when you see your child for the first time, that's pretty um there's there isn't anything that comes close to that, you know, that can um propagate that same type of emotion, you know, like invoke that same type of emotion, right? Like it's special for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it's you know, they talk about that and they show it in movies, but it's one of those things that until you really hold them, you're like,
Right.
wow, this is real, and it's a pretty intense feeling,
Hmm.
So
It
if you're
is.
there, if you're there for the birth of your child, but yeah, man. Well, I think it's a perfect segue into who we're talking about today.
Yeah, you're right, huh? It's kind of it is a perfect segue. I mean, why don't you? I mean, you kind of started, so why don't you go ahead and let them know?
Yeah, so it's a perfect segue. We're talking about our children, and today we're going to be talking about the child of the show, the
Hmm.
one we saw grow up before our eyes. We're talking about none other than Gohan.
Yep.
All facets of Gohan. I think in regards to this journey that we witnessed him in the movies, um,
Hmm.
which has been an interesting one, and it's been one with its ups and downs for sure.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
agree. It's like there have been moments of progression and then steep moments of regression, right? Like,
yeah,
um, and it's like, yeah, we'll obviously we'll talk about it, but certainly like somewhere down the line, that man lost his North Star, and
yeah.
they didn't know like the direction to that he was going in, you know. So, um, but yeah, how do you feel about Gohan like overall? And I guess there's different Gohans, right? Like there's the Gohan at the beginning who's just a an infant, right?
Hmm.
There's the Gohan that becomes a child but is has like a burden of responsibility. Then there's the teenager, the adult, and uh, uh,
The
that's kind of
dad.
how I view it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's been cool. I mean, if I'm honest with you, it is cool to just see a character, from a very young age grow all the way up, right? So I think that's
Hmm.
cool. Um, but so if I were to break it down by those pieces that you said, right? We're talking about an infant. We're talking about a Gohan that we can't really speak, but we know there's something special about Gohan, and I think that
Hmm.
that's kind of the main theme that I kind of get about Gohan is that there's something special about him.
Hmm.
There's something truly special about him, and I don't know if they actually actualized it. I think when I think about Gohan, I think about that soccer player, that player that like Adriano. So if you
Yeah.
don't know who Adriano was, Adriano is like it was this. He was just a beast.
Hmm.
When he was at Inter, this Brazilian dude, and he was just like this dude with just so much potential. He just took over,
Hmm.
and then you just saw like a steep decline.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of where I see Gohan at right now, where he had this really meteoric like rise, and he was like
Hmm.
the top shit, and then all of a sudden he's just now green suit Gohan from
Right. Yeah.
Resurrection F,
Right. Yeah.
and people
Jesus.
can defend his showing in Super, but like I mean we're going based off of the movies, and like he was not even existing in the Broly movie. He wasn't even there. So like
Yeah.
the last showing we get of him is him in that green suit, and we know how that turned out. It was just
Right.
a
He gets
a
fried. Yeah.
pitiful display.
Right.
So, Kid Gohan was interesting. If I start off with Kid Gohan,
Hmm.
he started off interesting, especially when we talk about the movies, especially in the early movies, you saw that they wanted to do something with him.
Hmm.
That he was turned into like a monkey. There was the story with Turles.
Hmm.
There was these like really cool scenes between him and Piccolo. You can tell that there was a mentorship there, you know.
Right.
Um, so so when I think about that Gohan, you see this Gohan of just really trying to just he wants to be a fighter, wants to be like his dad at the same time. Mom wants him to be another way,
Right.
which I think a lot of us can relate to, right?
Right. And it's yeah, you're right. Like um so we're talking about Kid Gohan, and that was a good analogy too. Like Adriano, I was actually gonna say Ricardo Quaresma. This is all for people who obviously follow soccer. But Quaresma
Oh
never
yeah,
hit the
it's another dude.
heights, never hit the heights that Adriano did. Like Adriano at one point was dominant, right? Like he was he was a stud, and then the the fall was just so precipitous. It was like it became concerning, right? Because like it
Yeah,
was just it was so like it was almost unseen. But yeah, as far as Kid Gohan, it's like uh, this is I don't we're talking about the movies, right? So
yeah,
I don't want to say this is his peak, but it certainly kind of feels like it because he plays that role like that kind of archetype character that's um he's the kid with potential, you know what I'm saying? And it's one thing
hmm,
to be like the kid or the person with potential, and then it's another thing to be the main dude. You know what I'm saying? Like those are two very different things. The kid with potential, the person with potential, that person's always exciting. It's fun, like sexy in a way because it's new, it's fresh, right? And they're like, wow, your mind starts to think about what that person can become. The main character, like that main dude or gal, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like that
yeah,
is there is this is the one we're depending on. This is the main guy, and there's no room left for imagination. Like this is the dude carrying the show or carrying the series. And so Gohan, I feel his character fits perfectly for that kid with potential. That's when he's um like the most exciting in the movies, right? The
yeah,
most exciting. And I feel like we see those tidbits of power, like explosions of power that that sometimes it's unexpected, right? Because like you're not counting on this kid, you're counting on Goku, on Vegeta, on Piccolo, etc. And you're not really depending on the kid. So when this child um has these like explosions of power, it's like, wow, man, this guy, like this kid, what can he become? um and it's perfect for him because he's living off of that potential, that what if, and because he's young, the expectation isn't there for him to fulfill yet, right? Like we'll judge him down the line whether or not he fulfilled that expectation, but for now
yeah,
his ceiling,
hmm,
or like not his ceiling but the expectations on the floor, because he's a kid, you can't expect much of him. And so it's perfect, like this is when he has like those tender moments with Icarus. He has those like you said, kind of where his mom wants him to study but his dad wants him to become like a fighter. uh and it's one of those things, like, or at least this is how I view, and especially now, I always viewed it like this, but especially now that I have a child of my own, like I don't want my child to live out the my dreams, you know what I'm saying? Like I want
yeah,
my child to live their dreams, like whatever that may be. If it has nothing to do with what it is I did, that's totally fine, but pursue them, you know what I'm saying? Like
hmm,
become your own person. I don't need like for my off child to live. I don't need to live vicariously through them, right? Like I want them to become their own person. And I feel like Gohan obviously struggles with that because that is a common thing, like in our world, right? Like our children, we kind of sometimes uh push our dreams that maybe we didn't accomplish, or what we did and we want to continue like pursuing and have
yeah,
them pursue them, like. And so I feel like that's what's going on with Gohan. Like Goku wants, and I don't think it's like um I think it's coming from a good place because I Goku doesn't know any better, like he doesn't know anything else.
yeah,
Like he just knows
uh-huh,
fighting. Like he's a Saiyan warrior. Like
Yeah, that boy's not hooking him up with his job at the
Right.
at the office. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, exactly.
he's not passing that job down. He's not passing
Yeah.
that skill down. He's just passing down. Like, let's go tear some freezes up.
Yeah. And so that's why I feel like, so I know we're gonna disagree when we get to like the teenage Gohan, just for a bit though. Just I think there's a moment there where I kind of, where I do feel like Gohan fulfills his potential, but I think, I don't know if it's fulfills his potential, but he certainly like has a spike in what Gohan is. But I think consistency, like his peak, his best, like, or his prime was his kid self, his kid version, because he fits that mold perfectly. Like he doesn't have to compete with Goku and Vegeta to be the main characters. He has a
Yeah,
role to play because he's not, like I said, he's a kid. He's not the main guy who's supposed to kill the villain. Um, and it just kind of fit, like I said, it's molded perfectly for him. Something that Goten couldn't really do, and or didn't do as well as Gohan. Neither did Trunks, I feel. Um, but yeah,
yeah. I
man.
mean, with kids, I feel like they struggle a little bit. I think Gohan is probably the only, I would say, successful depiction of a kid in the show, because I think the other kids are kind of whack. So I think
Right.
Gohan is the only one that I think is able to fit into that. But I think is exactly what you're talking about, is the fact that his expectations are not super high, right? So he's going to
Mm-hmm.
exceed them regardless,
Mm-hmm.
because he's a kid, and he's
Yeah.
gonna, and if anything, he's overachieving because he's not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing the things that he's doing. Um, and it's when you see him at the most, I think, when you start to see the most potential in him. And I think that they did that really nicely towards the beginning of the films, whether I like the way that they ended off certain things, but he's really the only character that I could think of that actually, took out opponents,
Mm-hmm.
like the big opponents. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Right.
actually gave him a shot other than Goku to take him out. Like I could think about Broly, Second Coming. They had him be the big dude, even though he was older.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about him and BoJack.
Mm-hmm.
I think Garlic Jr. He also did that too, right? He was like the
Yep.
one taking him out. Um, so
Exactly.
he had his role, and I mean, you don't see that at all in this anime. They went out of their way to save
Mm-hmm.
Vegeta from killing somebody. So
Right.
they don't do that. So for them to be doing that with Gohan tells us that they really wanted Gohan to be something really big. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so when you see that little kid, I think that's, yeah. I mean, that's probably the best that they probably did with his character. I think that I mean, they wanted him to grow up, but I don't think that they knew what they wanted to do with him when he grew up. I don't
Exactly.
think, they kind of felt a little undecided to me about whether they wanted him to be the main character of the show or they wanted him to be a side character,
And I
because
think,
he could have
uh-huh.
easily been a side character. Like Vegeta is a side character in my opinion now, and like, he could have easily been
A
in that.
Vegeta.
Right? He could. But they chose to go this different route that I think that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think you see that in the films, and in the films you kind of see him just slowly but surely start to become more irrelevant, more
Yes.
and more and more. You just kind of start seeing that. I think if I could think about the most relevant movie that he probably is in, I mean, I think it's between that BoJack and Broly Second Coming, where he's kind of like the main show. It's kind of, those two movies are the ones that kind of stick out to me, where they were really trying to push him as the dude.
Right. Because you think about like a progression, right? You would assume that it's always ascending. I mean, Goku, obviously he's had that, but Goku, it's easy because he's the main character. Like they knew that he was gonna become this eventually. The struggle becomes when you have two fighter characters of that same magnitude. Like how can they coincide in the same series? Um and uh Gohan, like if we move into the kind of teenage years in the series, we know this is where he peaked, right? And even in the
Yeah.
movies, I mean, think about the Broly movie. He's still a teenager. He's just an older teenager. But
Hmm. Yeah, it's probably like that, like in between phase between
right.
Majin Buu and Cell, right? If we were to put it
Right,
somewhere,
exactly. If we were to
it's probably in
pinpoint.
between that age range, right?
Right. So yeah, he's still a teenager. He's older now, but this is probably like his peak. But you can already see that it certainly is his peak. Even in the series, he fights Cell, and that was his show. Like he stole the show there, and he everyone was taken. That's when like a bunch of Gohan fans came out the woodworks because he was just so insane, so insane. Pardon me.
Hmm.
And in the movies, Bojack and Broly, those are the two that stand out the most. Bojack, obviously, he takes out, and this is like he takes out, but with the help of Goku, right? Like in a way, not like
BoJack movie. Yeah, I know we
right,
disagreed on that one in that episode. Hmm.
right, and I personally like that because obviously, like it's a father and his son, like, but um, but as far as like how it affects Gohan, it's there's something about it that like it shows that Gohan still is not totally separated from Goku. And I think that's like a theme that always runs throughout the series. And I want to like really touch on this when we get to like the older Gohan, like the 30-year-old or whatever. Um that he's always with Goku, like n- not not so much physically, but um metaphorically, like there's always an attachment there, um and I think that hurts Gohan, so but in this regard, for this conversation, like he peaks at this point as far as like his power, and he's able to take on the big bad dudes by himself. And yeah, and he looks badass, and people are like, whoa, okay, this dude, he's the next guy to take on the baton. Obviously that doesn't happen, but you could already kind of start to see like a little bit of ambiguity with his character. Um,
Hmm.
and because I see like, especially in the BoJack movie, he's dressed just like Goku, right? And like, um,
Yeah.
that's like already kind of a sign that's probably not good, in my opinion, if we're talking about Gohan becoming his own character. Um, but I mean, yeah, like I said, I think he not peaks there in terms of character development, but in terms of power, like that's where he that's where he peaks, and he's like the badass, and yeah, people are like, wow, okay, Gohan, he's great. Um, but it's like you said with Adriano, after that, it's just a precipitous fall that's unfortunate for his character and for people who love. I mean, if you look at like all the comments on on Gohan, there's always memes about him, right? It's always like, look how they massacred my boy, right? um, and he's just been memed to death now.
Yeah, he's
So
become a meme. It's just that he's a shadow of him, like of his former self, right?
yeah,
Like I look at that like future Gohan from Trunks, and like that one's pretty nuts. It's me. It's me, by the way.
okay, uh-huh,
Like I look at that like future Gohan, like from the Trunks, like the history of Trunks, and
oh
like
yeah,
that is where we like. And it's interesting that that movie was towards the beginning, or like that special was because they gave us such a tease, you know what I'm saying, of like what this brother was could have been, in
exactly.
regards to his character when he got older, because he was just so dope as that one, right? Like it kind of
Hmm.
gave you like some illusion that like, man, we're about to see a really tight Gohan once he grows up. Like once he grows up,
Yeah,
man, that dude was
exactly,
about to he's about to be an animal, and
exactly.
everything was leading up to that. And man, I mean, I don't know, I don't know what they could have done with this character. What do you think they could have done with this
So,
character after the Cell Saga
mhm.
and after BoJack? Because I think those movies kind of come at the same time. Um, in Majin
Right.
Buu, like that, and then Second Coming obviously sucked, but like they did have him as like the main character. Like,
Right.
what I mean, what do you think could have happened in that moment? Right, like at that moment, what do you think could have happened or should have
Right. Right.
happened?
Right. So I think, and this is a good segue into like the adult Gohan, right? I mean, this is just where things fall off the rails, and eventually they're like, all right, let's just make this guy a dad. Um, I think, and I think what they should have done is at that point, they should have cut off the proverbial umbilical cord from Goku because, like I said, if you see him, whether it's in the series, whether it's in the movies, um, he has like a an invisible umbilical cord with Goku, and it's through the way he talks, like the way he acts, in the way he dresses sometimes, especially in the series, and that is doing the complete opposite of making him his own person. I think what they should
Mm-hmm.
have done is just like you do when you reach a certain age and you're like, all right, parents, uh, you know, this hurts me. It's tough, but it's time for me to go my own way. I'm going to start my own family. I'm going to, find my own life, forge my own path. Right. And unfortunately for most people, that means, they move out, they find someone, maybe they move to another city, another state. Obviously that's real life. In anime, it's, he goes on his own journey, like he goes to maybe discover more about his heritage, like find out more about himself, become a warrior in a way that's fitting to Gohan because he'll never be Goku. Like he'll never be able to have that type of like latent ability, that's just
Mm-hmm.
that Goku was just born with, but he can find other like he can learn about other one his own heritage, two other techniques in his journey, like in his own path that he follows,
Mm-hmm.
and him become his own person. He goes, he leaves the family, he detaches from Goku entirely. He has his own journey, and we can follow that journey simultaneously with the the um the main series, the way we do with like Trunks, right? Like Future
Yeah.
Trunks especially. Future
Mm-hmm.
Trunks is so much more engaging and attractive than Kid Trunks. But because Future Trunks is, well, and of course, Kid Trunks is just a kid, so of course Vegeta's always going to be there. But Future Trunks there's so much behind him. He's experienced so much, he's endured so much. Everything he's attained, it's been through him, right? Like through his
Mm-hmm.
own, not necessarily through his own work, because obviously he's had people who have helped him, but he's earned everything. Like he's really made himself his own person,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes him so attractive. So I think they never did that with Gohan. They obviously they did with Future Gohan because they had no choice. I mean, Goku died, everyone basically died. He had to become his own person, and people liked him, and he had his role, like he was that mentor to Trunks. And people love Future Gohan more than they do Great
Yeah.
Saiyaman Gohan
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
The one
right?
we have
Like,
now. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think he should have said, you know what, I killed Cell. My father's dead. Um, he died because of my own recklessness, my own arrogance. Um, Mom, I need to go on this journey by myself. Like I need to go find myself. I need to go learn more about myself, learn more about my past, also work on my present and prepare for the future. Become a fighter that maybe not as strong as my dad, but still as capable. Um, and I felt like that would have been better, but instead what they did was they tried to create like a mini Goku, and then like they got to that point, like I said, you can't have two Gokus. Like you can't have two. It's like having two guys with huge egos on the same team and then saying, it's like if Cristiano and Messi were in the same team, and then it's like, and you ask one of the teammates on the team, like, hey, who's the best player in the world? Dude, you just put that guy in a tough spot because you don't know what to say. Like, yeah, maybe most people think Messi, but if you say Messi, like you're screwing over Cristiano. And so they were in that spot where there's no way Gohan could overtake Goku. Like people
Goku.
just
Yeah.
wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would accept it. But they wanted Gohan to become something so big, but he was always attached to Goku. And so like those two personas couldn't coincide the way they were like writing it. Um so yeah, that's kind of how I view it. That's maybe what I would have done. Like I said, he goes on his own path and does his own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, it sounds like dope. I think for me, I think I would have I mean, to be honest with you, I think they had two choices here. I think they could
Mm,
have. Me personally, I mean, I don't know. I'm not the one writing the show, but if it would have been me, I either would have killed him shortly afterwards and have him just be like just roll out high. You hit the max because we don't know
right,
where to go. I think as writers and as creators of the show, I think you have to be honest and be like, we
right,
don't know what to do with him. We're gonna kill him, and that's
right,
it. And we remember him as like this beast, and then he comes back periodically.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, I
that's one
mean,
option. I
mhm,
think that they could have did. The other option that I see was they could have just given him his own series and do something similar to what you're talking about, and have him completely leave the show, and have him have his own like world and have his own like coming of age story. Where he is encountering his own types of bosses and his own types of villains, and he's having to do this simultaneously, and then he comes back, and then we see we're looking forward to it, right? We're looking
right,
forward to, oh snap, Gohan is this beast in this other anime. How's he going to be in this one? uh,
right.
but they chose none of those. They they decided to keep him there, and kind of drove his character to the ground, which is
Gotcha.
where he's kind of at now, because he's in a tough spot where whatever he does is analyzed, and it's not as big because
Mhm.
it it just doesn't.
And let me
We
ask
don't
you
believe
this.
it anymore. At least
Yeah,
at least at least I don't believe it anymore. I don't believe he's the goal potential now. I've already
exactly.
seen what I'm not gonna go out and buy. I'm not gonna go out and buy
Right,
what you're selling because I already seen what you got. It's done. I already know that that's it.
right. And let me ask you this: like, is he redeemable in your eyes?
Is he redeemable? I mean, it's a good question. Me personally, my personal philosophy, I think everyone's redeemable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes a lot of hard work. I think it takes
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work, a lot of griminess. I think a lot of really getting in the dirt to really redeem yourself. To really clean yourself off. I remember meeting this dude in El Salvador when I traveled through El Salvador, and when I went down, because it really reminds me when you were talking about him leaving and stuff. It really reminded me of like, in my life, when did I ever do that? And
Mm-hmm.
I think about my trip, and I left. I left the United States, and I went, and it sounds really like American, and like really, it's like, oh yeah, this kid just kind of leaves. But as a kid from where I'm from, we don't really do that. There's a lot of
Right.
white people that go and leave the world, leave the country, and like I got to go find myself. But like for me, it was really about finding my
Well,
lineage, and really knowing myself more, outside of this context. And I remember meeting this kid in El Salvador specifically because he was like, you're in a country, like you're from a country where they've done a lot of stuff to the world, and a lot of the stuff in the world, then it comes back, and then this stuff, and then I'm like, well, how do I like reconcile that? How do I like make sense of that myself? And he's just like, in order to clean yourself, you first have to get into the shit, and then you clean it off. You can't clean off something that's already clean. you have to go in and get dirty. So when I think about actually redeeming Gohan, I think you have to acknowledge where he's at. The series has to acknowledge that we fucked up. That
Right.
he has to acknowledge it, that he stopped training, that he stopped being ambitious, and
Mm-hmm.
don't give us this like shortcut, because that's what they did in Super. In
Mm-hmm.
Super, they gave us one episode
Right.
where transformation by doing nothing.
Right.
I mean, we get told that he's training, but no, I don't want to see that. I want to see Gohan really get in there and get beat down to the to the pulp and really like I stopped. At one
Mm-hmm.
point I stopped and acknowledged it. Maybe it is because of your family, it is because of your daughter and all this stuff, but you stopped.
Yeah.
Uh, you stopped training, you stopped doing this. That's the step, right? It's like you start there. You start with talking about where you're really at, and
Mm-hmm.
whether they actually do that. I hope so, because I think we all love Gohan. At least me personally, I can talk about myself. Like I love Gohan, uh, and I want it to be the character that I think he could have been meant
Mm-hmm.
for. You know what I'm saying? Um, and even be surpassing Goku. Hopefully at one point. Especially now, this thing about Goku potentially being a god of destruction. Like where does that
Right.
leave Gohan? Like
Right.
there's an opportunity there
Mm-hmm.
for him. So to me, that's what would it take to redeem Gohan.
Yeah.
What
And
about you?
do I feel he's redeemable? Man, it's like I feel like yes, I do because I think and people he's such a fan favorite, right? Like people would love to see him find his way, right? Become the Gohan that we all maybe not that we all thought, but become a Gohan that's fitting to what his potential was. I think it would, like you said, like they would have to deconstruct him. They would have to like they would have to have like a moment of, by they I mean the writers and him in the show, like have a moment of, all right, dude, I'm wearing the same gi as my dad, like, you know I'm wearing the same boots, like
Yeah.
I look exactly like him. All right, dude, it's time for me to become my own person. Like I have a family now that depends on me. I need to find my own way. And they tried that with Great Saiyaman, but it was such a horrific failure because that's not that's not an ascending trajectory. Like that's him now settling into normal human life. Like let Krillin do that. You are a Saiyan warrior. Like you continue on the path that you were. Go on. Like,
Are we live streaming the El Salvador? My guy from El Salvador.
oh shit, dude. Oh fuck. That may be the thing. That may be it right there. Hold up. Let me see. Dude, that sick ass guy. Let me see if I can. Let me connect to another network.
Decide to they live stream this guy from El Salvador that talks about politics, and they both decide to run it at the same time, so it
Mm,
just eats up their internet
yeah.
as they're going, and
It's fun when I'm playing FIFA
you know,
and he's rolling that thing.
yeah, you gotta love those games.
Can
You're
you
that guy, dude. You're that guy with the latency that's like fooling us. That's
dude,
like it's green, and then all of a sudden
yeah, it's
it's
just
just
shit.
red and
Yeah.
orange.
Right.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Cause
you now, way better.
okay.
Yeah, you're in yellow now. Or you're. It's like I'm next to you now.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, I'll go ahead and edit that then. Um,
Okay.
shit. Where was I?
Well, you were
Uh,
talking about how Gohan Saiyaman was. I think you said that was her attempt.
yeah, that was their attempt, but like he uh he went into like his. It was such a regression from the character we thought he would become. The I mean, if that's his pinnacle, then that's very unfortunate. Obviously, it's not him against Cell is, but um. And in the movie, him against Bojack is, but uh, you know, get like go like do your own thing. You 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 out of all the characters that we've seen from besides Goku, we've seen from being a child to becoming an adult. You are the one that has the most like backing, most support. Like I don't see people if Goten or Kid Trunks were to ever become adults, or I mean when they do, when if they were to become adults in the show, I don't see people loving them the way they do Gohan. So, dude, people if if he still has fans after Gray Saiyaman, he's gonna have fans if he goes on and does his own thing. And he's like, and like you said, he does his own thing. He goes, he finds himself. He becomes a different type of fighter, like has different techniques. He learns about, I don't know, saying heritage, or he becomes his own person. And when he were to come back, like be reintroduced into the series, people would be looking forward to it because they'd be like, wow, this dude, he's been on his journey. He's coming back. Now we're excited to see him and Goku team up and
Hmm.
fight. Um,
Yeah.
and, but if not, he'll always be Goku's son. And he's just always going to be under his shadow. And it will, like you said,
Well, it
we're
just kind
not,
of becomes a given, you know what I'm saying? It kind of becomes a given. Like
yeah.
they and they in this show does so many like shortcuts, you know, like you talking about that really reminds me, and then I'm gonna let you keep going.
Hmm.
But it really reminds me of the green suit Gohan and Resurrection F. Like we hadn't seen him in such a long time, and there like I don't even know if there was anticipation. It definitely didn't feel like there was anticipation for Gohan. Um, and they kind of just threw him in there, you know what I'm saying? Like they just kind of threw him in there with Tien and Jaco, and he's at that level, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't even build anticipation for Gohan. So,
Right.
I think the more and the show keeps doing that in regards to Gohan, that there's no anticipation around his character. Because there's nothing new with him.
Exactly.
We're not gonna anticipate nothing.
And dude, like, let's be honest. There's no way Gohan can go to sleep at night thinking, damn, like I was really that dude that took out Cell and now I've become this. There's no way you can look at all that potential you had and not like, we never see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, like you said, there's no anticipation to Gohan coming back. But damn, dude, even if there was anticipation, the Gohan that's coming back is not a cool one. Like he's coming in, he looks like Slenderman. Like he's just he's a he's he's a shadow of his former self. It reminds me of Avengers Infinity War when and I'm terrible with names, so I don't remember the names, but the dude with the Infinity Stone in his forehead, um, the red guy, and
Yeah, yeah,
one of Thanos's henchmen, he's like he's fighting him or whatever, and he's whooping his ass. But this dude was supposed to be that guy, like he was supposed to be ridiculous, and
yeah,
Thanos's dude, he's beating his ass, and he's like, and he grabs him, and he's got him at his mercy, and he looks at him and he tells him, "I used to believe you were a formidable machine." And that's exactly what happened to Gohan. What a formidable character he was, and then it just precipitous fall. Uh, but to your point, there was no anticipation. But even if there was, the character that's coming back, it's like it's not one. We're not buying it, even if he does. Like no one's gonna
yeah.
be
No, we're
like,
not we're not anticipating Gohan. That's the
right.
problem that we're in now.
But and so now what I want to see is I want to see Gohan in his room after he puts his daughter to sleep and he kisses Videl goodnight. I want to see him go into the living room and break down because he's like, damn, I what happened to me? You know what I'm saying? Like they were
Yeah.
saying the man couldn't even turn Super Saiyan 2. Like, dude, that's embarrassing in terms of the Dragon Ball context, of course. Um like, dude, that's ridiculous, bro. Like, come on,
Yeah.
dog. Um and so uh he's seeing Goku like and Vegeta even ascend to like god levels, and the man is struggling to hit Super Saiyan 1 now. So there's
Yeah, definitely.
right, like So I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying. Like, dog, you need to just go reflect, dog. Like, go
exactly.
reflect and really take a hard look at yourself in the mirror and see what you've become. And that's not to say that being a father is a bad thing.
No,
I
no,
think you
that's
can
not what
still
I'm
be a
getting at.
dope
Yeah.
father.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Goku's
Like,
a father and
like you
Vegeta's
don't
a
have you.
father.
Yeah, you don't have to, and they're shitty parents. I
They
mean, we've
are,
talked
yeah.
about this before. Like, dog, Vegeta's not taking care of Trunks. He's not
Yeah,
even. I
dude.
mean, that boy's in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah.
Goku, he leaves his family for fucking weeks on
Yeah.
fucking ends, right? Like he
Yeah.
never sees his wife. So it's like it's not even to say that Gohan to me is like cool, dude. You could be a dad, that's dope, and you could be a really good dad. But like that
Right.
doesn't mean that you have to make a choice, right? It's like either I'm gonna just be the family man and just live with the decisions that I made, and let's just put you to the side, and you're not even gonna don't even suit up. Like you know what I'm saying? Like don't bring the uniform, don't bring the
Yeah,
gi.
bro.
Like
Come in
just
your
you are now
regular
just the
outfit.
teacher, regular outfit. You're watching the fight, you know.
Exactly.
But let's not act like dog. You need to be a determinant of power. And
Yeah,
that's the thing
bro.
that gets at
Come
me, dog.
on,
It's like,
dude.
dude, you don't deserve that spot.
Nah,
You know
you
what I'm saying?
don't,
Like,
dude.
you don't, dog. You
And
don't. You're getting it out of just name, and I think that's the
yes.
problem. Is like he's getting a lot of shit because just of his name, and we need to stop it. You know what
Well,
I'm
I
saying?
mean,
We
here's
need
the
to
thing.
stop this man.
I and I obviously you said you believe he's redeemable. Well, I do also believe he's redeemable, but I believe the path to redemption now is much more difficult because they've introduced there are now characters out here that are just the competition is stiffer. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Beerus now, you got Whis, now you have Broly coming back into the fray. Like there are
I'm worried
more.
about Broly. To be honest with you, I
Huh?
don't know what they're gonna do with Broly.
I
I
don't
hope
know
they do
either.
something good with Broly.
I don't know either. But for right now, yeah, Broly's an enigma. But for all we know, like he is
Yeah,
coming back, and so like Gohan, in the Cell saga, or not in the Cell, in the Majin Buu saga, it could have been Goku, Vegeta, Gohan. Those are the three top dogs. Now it's not as clear, and so that's why like I think it's critical they break him down, like you said, where they reflect. Like he actually has to reflect. Like we have to see this man say, "Damn,
yeah.
look at what's
Dedicate an
become."
arc to him, like that.
Yeah,
Like they need to
exactly.
dedicate. If they want to bring Gohan back to where he was, they need to dedicate an arc to him.
Hmm.
Fuck Whis, fuck Beerus, fuck Goku and Vegeta. It is just focus on him and put my boy Piccolo in there because we need that man to redeem himself too.
That man will be that will be for the next episode. But you're right. He's had so I don't think he's had as precipitous of a fall, but uh but I think he's hit lower levels. You know what I'm saying? Like because he never reached the levels of Gohan, so he can't fall that high. But
Yeah,
but but what he's become, it's he's become the babysitter. Like I mean, at least Gohan, like
yeah.
you know, they just needed to fill up bodies, bro, and that's why they asked Piccolo to come to. They just needed, they just needed bodies, so they
But so,
asked
so so you're
Piccolo.
saying that they're not doing that with Gohan though? I think they're doing that with Gohan. They're filling up the roster because
They no,
Gohan has his name.
they are,
Gohan is like that soccer player that makes the team. He doesn't have to come to practice. The coach is just like, yeah, dog. He played for Real Madrid and he's
yeah,
playing in like
yeah,
freaking Atlas, right? Like he's just
right,
he's at the
yeah,
end of his career. They're just like, yeah, dog. You saw
yeah,
those goals. It's like, dude, he's not the same anymore. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like he's just
exactly.
not that guy. That's
This
who Gohan is.
Right. No, you're right. There's two levels of ass if you think about it. There's I think that spectrum of just trash, um, like Gohan is at a point where he is still redeemable. Like on the spectrum of trash, he's at least closer to the top. And I think Piccolo on that spectrum falls way at the bottom. But both of them are still in that bucket, of garbage. Uh, but
Yeah.
um, we'll get to Piccolo eventually.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just
possibly next episode. Mhm.
exactly. But Gohan, he if Gohan was a chart, he was he's basically a 90-degree angle, right? Like oh no,
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say 90-degree angle or 45-degree angle. He's going up, 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 and then it's just whoop all the way down. Yeah, 45-degree angle. Sorry, he's going inverted. So he's going up, and then he goes all the way down. Um, because as he gets older, he gets more difficult to watch. Right? It's just all cringe. Like at the end, it's all cringe. Like I'm not, dude. Even the way he takes out who was it that he took out in the tournament of power? Like,
Uh,
dude,
Did he
that
take out he took out the bunny, no, in the forest? Didn't he take out the bunny? The fast was that him?
oh
I don't even fucking know,
I don't
dude.
remember at this point
Look, all
either.
I know is that him and Piccolo were in like 7 episodes just waiting around.
Mm-hmm.
They were just waiting around until somebody picked a fight with them, and that's just not where Gohan needs to be. And,
Right.
But also too, we're about an hour, so I just let you know.
Yeah.
So I think we should wrap it up soon.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up. But Gohan he isn't my favorite character, but he's a character that I grew to like. I'm not gonna lie, in the Cell Saga, I thought he was insane. Like I think like anyone else, I thought he was ridiculous, and I even liked him in the Majin Buu arc. But I could see in the Majin Buu arc, he was already kind of starting his rise was no longer a rise. It was like, ooh, okay, we're kind of starting to hit a certain point, like
Yeah, they
where,
hit a stumble there.
yeah. So I hope when the series comes back, they do like you said, dude. It's embarrassing that in the first movie, what was the first movie ever? Was it the Garlic Jr. one, the World?
Yeah, the Garlic Jr. one.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
that's Dead Zone,
Dead
right?
Zone, classic.
Gohan is
My
a
boy's still up in space.
yeah, dude.
It turns up there,
Dude, that's nuts, dude. But Gohan is one of the main characters in that story, right?
He's the one that finishes them off. He's the one that screams and opens up the portal. Mm-hmm.
That's the first movie, and then the last movie, he's just nowhere to be found. I mean,
he's not even in the movie.
Not
he's
in
not,
the movie at all. No one mentions him. No one mentions him. I mean,
not a line dedicated to
not
him.
one, dude. And so, some work needs to go into rebuilding his character. But I hope it happens, and because he's a great character and a lot of people love him. So yeah. Any closing thoughts, dude, before we wrap it up?
Man, man, this was fun, dude. Gohan is definitely a controversial character. I think a lot of us, have a lot of memories about Gohan, and we just hope that when they come back, I think next year they said they're about to either they're gonna start writing it, they're gonna do something next year,
something in
regards to the new one. So, next year we're gonna get a new series. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully he plays a role in that. I don't think he does with Moro, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I hope he does something.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And if they write a new movie, which I believe is also in the works, I hope he gets, more screen time, and I hope it's done right.
I hope so too.
But yeah, man, great character, and we'll talk next week. But everyone, thank you for listening. This was a lot of fun. These conversations are always fun. Feel free to follow us on our social media. That will be down in the description below. Give us a like, subscribe. And yeah, thank you for listening. Let us know what you think about Gohan. Is he a character you like? Is he a character that you wish, went on a different path? How do you feel about him? But with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. And until next week.